Happy New Year, cuties, and welcome to Cutie Connect Cafe, where we tell stories about everything queer and tech. What a beginning of year! Can we all agree that 2021 was not the year we thought it would be, and it really put 2020 to shame. But hopefully, 2022 is gonna be way better than how it got started. I have hope for us. So. By the way, I'm Naufel, co-founder at QueerTech and your host. And as you know, QueerTech is based in Tehuantepec in Montreal. And we would like to begin by acknowledging that QueerTech is located on unceded Indigenous lands. The Kanien'kehá:ka Nations is recognized as the custodians of the lands and the waters on which we gather today. I want to start by thanking our presenter for this series, RBC. Thank you for presenting this QT Connect live stream series. I also want to thank our annual partners, Sage, Unity Technologies, Habu Financial Solution, under the Sun Life banner, Ubisoft, Ocedia, and Oro Health. As you know, a few announcements before we dive into our conversation with our speakers today that I'm really excited for. So this Friday, we are hosting a volunteer info session at 1:30 p.m. ET. So those who are interested, you can RSVP on the website, queertech.org. This is going to be a really wonderful opportunity for everyone who have some time and expertise to give to QueerTech and support us to get to that next stage of growth. So looking forward to see many of you. Also next week, this month is really busy with events, so I have a few more to share with you. So next week we have two workshops that are within our QT Care series on your financial health. The first workshop is on January 18 at noon Eastern Time, and it's on investment fundamentals from taking risk to respecting your values. And this is going to be an English workshop. The second workshop is on January 20th at noon Eastern Time. And it's Fondamentaux de l'investissement, de la prise de risque au respect de vos valeurs. These are workshops that are sponsored by Wahoo Financial's Banners of Sun Life. So we're really excited to have them again back for this second workshop series with us this quarter. Also, as you see, 2021, we really didn't do any meetups as we were trying to figure out how to organize ourselves and see where we're going to be with this virtual world. We have decided to bring them back on the request of so many of our members. So really excited to have our January meetup. That's going to be on January 25th at 6 p.m. This is going to be a virtual event, so anyone from Canada or anywhere you are can join. It's January 25th at 6 p.m. ET. I recommend that you RSVP. We'll be sending out the details on the platform where we'll be having this meetup later in the month. So RSVP again on the website. You can see all these events up there. Our job board is always live. So for those who are looking for jobs in tech or looking to advance their career in tech, you can go to queertech.org/jobs. And if you need any help to connect with any of our partner companies or need any advice, you can always reach out to me, Naufel at queertech.ca. So before we get started with our guests, for those who have any questions or comments throughout the duration of our live stream, you can write your question or comments on the comment box in the social media outlet you are watching us on. You can also tag anyone who is looking for a job in tech or looking to advance their career in tech and need new directions. Also, anyone who needs inspiration or motivation, we might be showing your comments on this live stream. For those who love what we do and want to support us, you can always donate to QueerTech on our website, queertech.org/support. Always thank you so much for everyone who is supporting QueerTech every month and donating to support the organization. Hopefully we can see some donation from you too. So our guest today, some of you might know him if you are from Montreal, is Mazdak Chinichian. He is a professional leadership and business coach who is motivated to facilitate personal growth and change in his client throughout corporate workshops and personal coaching sessions. Mazdak has many, many certifications and offer a transformative, coactive coaching experience. Partnering with new and emerging leaders, he works to co-create a roadmap to take them to where they want to be. He supports his clients in identifying the personal barriers that are holding them back and provide them with tools they need to excel. Mazdak draws on his passion for travel, mindfulness, yoga, martial arts, and music to provide the inspiration for his multisensory human approach workshops. Welcome, Mazdak, to the show. You may reveal yourself. Hello, my
Thank you
dear
very
friend.
much.
Hello. Hello.
Hello there, Nelphil. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling calm. I am feeling relaxed, and I'm feeling very optimistic.
Wonderful. I always love that about you. I'm really excited to have you here, and I'm feeling really calm. All this snow in Montreal is making it very quiet in the city and very calm. So really great to have you. As usual, my pronouns are he and him. What are your pronouns?
He and him as well.
Wonderful, thank you. So, as usual, we're gonna start diving a little bit and getting to know you. You are someone that's already known to the community, especially if you are from Montreal. But let's dive in for those who don't know you. So tell us a little bit where you begin your life and where your story began. You came from a far, far land. So tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I was born in the country of Iran, and I lived there until the age of 22. And I should say that my growing up was not easy. Being gay in a country such as Iran and living under the political circumstances that was there, a lot of oppression, a lot of suppression. So it was a very difficult childhood and very difficult adolescent time that I had. And as soon as I started to know myself, I knew that I have, in order for me to be my authentic self, I need to leave the country and I need to go somewhere that I can be who I am.
Thank you. Absolutely. For someone who came from Morocco, not as politically extreme as maybe Iran in this situation, but definitely want to talk a little bit more about the opportunities that once you moved here. So tell us a little bit. So, 22, that's, you spent quite a bit in Iran before you moved here. Did you go to school there? Did you go to school in Canada? Tell us why that transition? Why did you choose Canada? Why did you move here?
Sure. I actually was going to university there. I was doing electronic systems engineering, but my desire was really to move into a free society. And I did some research around kind of for 3 years, and I found out Canada to be one of the best places for me as an immigrant to come and to call it home for me.
Absolutely. Not only you picked a great country, I did also pick this country. We also picked one of the best cities in this country, which is Montreal. But before you moved here, I know that you didn't move directly to Montreal. So tell us a little bit. You moved here, went to school. So where did you move? What happened once you got here?
Absolutely. So actually, I went as a student to the University of Regina in Regina, Saskatchewan. And for people who don't know where it is, it's in the Midwest of Canada, north of Montana. If I noticed that you were talking about the cold weather, you should go there to experience some extreme cold weather. There's some days we are colder than the North Pole or the South Pole.
Oh, wow.
And so I went to University of Regina and I continued my studies in electronic systems engineering. So I finished my bachelor degree there, and then I decided to a master's degree in software engineering at University of Regina. So in total, I stayed for 7 years there. And from a LGBT type of experience, it was quite interesting because the year that I arrived there, and this is many, many years ago, more than 20 years ago, I was placed at a student dormitory, student resident, and most of the people were people from outside of the town, 17, 18-year-old guys, and homophobia was rampant. And me, that thinking that, oh, I'm coming to Canada to be able to coming out and stuff, I came and I went back to closet in a different way, that I was even worried about fitting in, worried about belonging. And however, what happened was year after year, things start moving. And this is thanks to a lot of work of the queer activists in Saskatchewan, in Canada, and the conversations that were going. So by the fifth year that I was there, I felt comfortable enough to actually do my coming out in the residence. So I went from closeted. 3 days, became the most famous gay in all of university because everybody was talking about that. And and a week after, I became a gay activist. And we were with a group of people, we restarted GBLUR, which is Gay, Bisexual, Lesbians at University of Regina. And since I knew the website development stuff, I became the first webmaster for GBLUR. The year after, I was the president of GBLUR.
Yeah, you know, I love hearing these stories, and I really draw similarities because we both moved from somewhere that's, you know, discriminate against the community, illegal to be an LGBTQ person. We move here, we get a little bit shocked about the work that still needs to happen in Canada, and how much, even today, how much the LGBT community still have to do in terms of workplace discrimination, homophobia in society. And yet you decided to really turn that around and take an active role to make that change happen, you know. And that's one of the things I've always admired about you, is you really put your hands dirty and you say, you know what, if I don't like it, I'm not going to complain about it, I'm going to do something about it. And that's really a great characteristics that you have. And I hope a lot of people learn that, right? Because we can all make that change happen. And so, you know, you lived that pivotal moment of like becoming an advocate, and then how did you end up in Montreal?
Long story short, I was working with a professor as a research assistant, and she was supposed to come and give a conference, and she got sick, and she's like, Mazdak, would you like to go to Montreal and give this conference in my instead? And I'm like, is it paid? She's like, oh, of course. I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up. And that was the June of 2003, and I come, and it's the Grand Prix in Montreal. For people who know Montreal, it's a huge festival, and my jaw's like dropped like that. And somebody from a small city like Regina coming to Montreal, seeing that diversity, seeing that movement, dynamicism, and openness, and you know, that cafe culture and that walking culture, and that I was fascinated by this French Canadian culture, and I want to learn the language. I want to be here. I want to live here. So as soon as I did my defense of my master's, the next day I was on the plane and I moved to Montreal.
That's amazing. You know, I have really similar stories also. I was thinking to move to Toronto, and I came here on the recommendation of friends to visit and just have a look. And I just keep thinking it's really cold in Montreal. Maybe Toronto is less. And I came here and the city just stole my heart, and then I never left since. So it does have, Montreal does have that effect on a lot of people as we move in. And you know, we're lucky we live in a city that really celebrates LGBTQ. I think we're lucky that it's a lot more open than many places in Canada and other places in the world. And so as you moved here, now you have a bachelor degree in electrical engineering, you have a master degree in software engineering, and so you come here, and what happened? Did you have plans, or what you wanted to work, what you wanted to do?
Well, the idea was I wanted to do my PhD at McGill, but funny of the stories, through Queer McGill, which is an amazing group, and through what we call the pink connections, I was introduced to a manager at Motorola at that time, and
Okay.
Motorola at that time was a huge, huge tech company. It's like you're talking about Apple or Google right now.
Mhm.
And I got an interview for a job, and I'm like, okay, forget about the PhD, and I am working for Motorola. You don't say no
No,
to
that's a great
Motorola,
start.
especially
Yeah.
in 2006. So I started working for Motorola as a process specialist into everything around optimization of IT and software processes, Lean, Six Sigma, Agile methods, extreme programming for techies. You would know what I'm talking
Absolutely. Yeah.
about. And then it was one big company or after another big company. I worked with Giro, I worked with Alstom, and I ended up working with TD Bank. So I was working pretty much in the IT department in process improvement and optimization, and a normal, 9 to 5 job.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And were you when you started this job, were you out right away? Like, were you out to your colleague? What was that transition from a personal perspective also coming?
Great question. Not right at the beginning, but through again the education that I received from McGill, Queer McGill, and the Queer Grad Caucus and the Queer Alumni Association. And I was like, well, if I put I am like gay or involved with Queer McGill on my CV, when they won't hire me.
Mhm.
And then the person asked me, do you really want to work to a place that if they know that you're gay, they don't want to hire you? And I'm like, wow, that is very, very good point. Why would I want to spend my time and give my passion and give my, energy to a place that doesn't even respect me?
Absolutely.
That was it. And it's funny because at that time it was the Out Games of
Mhm.
Montreal, and I was participating as a wrestler, and
Oh.
oh yes, and the company actually asked me to write a expose, and they did a newsletter all over the company that Mazdak is representing Team Montreal for the wrestling in Out Game. So to whoever that I was not out after that newsletter, the whole company knew.
I love that your coming out story are always like a big bang, It's like, you're not gonna tell two people, you're gonna do the biggest activity, it's gonna be everywhere, and everyone's gonna know, and that's wonderful, right? You said something really important that resonates with me, and I speak a lot, especially for students who are looking to for their first jobs, and a lot of time they ask me, do I wait until I get the job before I come out? There is really this company, this role I really want to. And my question is always, do you really want to work for a company that doesn't want you? Like, is that where you want to put your energy? We're very fortunate today to see so many companies, and we have so many partners also at QueerTech that really celebrate and value that diversity, and not only it's celebrated, it's valued, and that's your one of your unique selling points as a person, also to say that I'm come from a different community that have different perspective. And I say, put it on your resume, put it in your LinkedIn. If you volunteer for organization, if you're a member of QueerTech, put it on there. Tell them right away from the beginning, because it's gonna do you a lot more better than harm. So I love that
Absolutely.
that mindset already was with you, even with
Yeah. And
back in the
also, whenever you put that you're volunteering, one, it start a conversation that makes you different from the others. Secondly, it shows that you're a benevolent person, you're a
Mhm.
passionate person, you're a community. You're not a just one-sided person. You're a person that have depth, and that helps a lot as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I know that through your career, you've volunteered in political parties, you volunteer for organizations, you volunteer for queer tech. Like, tell us a little bit more. What are some of these highlight volunteering that you've done throughout your career, and why are you
Oh,
spending all this time volunteering?
absolutely, absolutely. So when I moved in Montreal and starting my, 8 to 5 job, um, I was seeking fulfillment. I was seeking like meaning for my life. And the type of work that I was doing, um, I didn't feel belong. I didn't feel that I am using all of my capacities and I have the human impact that I want. I have like technological or process impact. So I decided, and I was still into my, very queer and LGBT activism. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, university is done, queer material is done, Jubiler is done. Where do I go? And that was around the time that the LGBT activism went to the political scene,
Hmm.
and I was already a member of the NDP party, and I started, creating with the people that were there the commissions specific for the LGBT people. And then the party made that an official commission, and meaning that the representatives of this commission would sit on the executive council of the party, meaning that me as a co-president of this commission, I was sitting at the executive council of the party, and there are maybe 20, 25 people that sit there. That just shows how much this party values the input of the LGBT community. So I started to do my activism from a political point of view, from
Hmm.
bringing awareness and talking to the members of the parliament. One of our highlights was that when there was the Sochi Olympics
Hmm.
in Russia, and you know that Russia has very how do you say repressive laws against LGBT people, we created rainbow ties and rainbow uh, shawls for women, and we took it, and all of the members of the NDP actually wore them, and they were all over the TV. There was an article about that on CBC, and that was like really in the face of the Russians, like the night before the starting games of the Olympics. You have all these Canadian members of parliament wearing rainbow in solidarity with the LGBT community in Russia.
That's wonderful. I hear that. It's always great to see Canada taking a stance for human rights, LGBT rights, really important. And really, I love that, right? Like volunteering and giving time outside of your work. Different people do it for different reasons, right? Some people find the inspiration of it. Some people just want to help and just want to feel that they're doing something good. So I really appreciate that. And so you volunteered for also nonprofits, right? It wasn't just political parties. So tell us a little bit, which nonprofits, what did you do?
I was involved with the Women's Center. I was involved with the Amnesty International. I taught at RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, for their hate crime course as a community resource person. I'm with Queer Tech since 2015. So these are the other non-political places that I did some volunteer work. And just to answer your question as well, there's three things that are super important for me for volunteering. Number one is connection. So for me, connection and feeling that belonging is very important. And through my volunteer work, I get that sense of belonging and connecting to people, to meeting new people. This is absolutely important for me. Number two for me is the learning. I learned so much from all of these activism and volunteer work that I did that I never learned from in school or at
Mhm.
workplaces. And the third one that is very important is that um, for us to live fulfilling lives and satisfying lives, we need to have purpose and we need to bring meaning to our life. And this volunteer work brings meaning for me. It makes my life purpose driven.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with those, and thank you for sharing those again. I think people find different reasons, but there's really fundamental of feeling something strong about belonging to a community and feeling part of that community. So I'm going to come back a little bit to your professional career, right? Because we were talking about Motorola, and you did wrestling at the Out Games in Montreal, which is amazing. Again, another activity that you're doing that sounds really great. So tell us a little bit what happened after Motorola. And so tell us, yeah,
So
what's
yeah,
your...
I went from one big company to another big company. Went to Giro, went to Alstom, did some consulting work, then went to TD, and I was there for one. But what happened to me was two things. One was a mindset shift, a paradigm shift, because before the idea was I do it, 9 to 5 work. That doesn't have to be fun. That is just for money, and you're just making money. And I take fulfillment from the activities I do after work. The mindset shift for me was, what if I do a work that I feel the same way that I feel in my work after work? So that was one. The second one, that was the feeling of Monday mornings, the dreadful feelings of Monday mornings that I would rather be sick and, stay in bed rather going to work. And I said, what if I could jump out of bed Monday mornings, be excited about what I do? And that brought me to the notions of what we call the human change management. So inside of the work I was doing at TD, I started to get the certification and start working with human change manager. That opened up a huge door for me around what we call leadership development and the coaching. And when I experienced that, I was like, in my essence, I was like, this is my zone de génie. This is where I feel really. So I decided to quit my work and pursue a long journey. I'm still on that journey as well, of mindfulness, of getting certifications in leadership development, getting certifications in coaching, doing facilitation, especially with Lego and Lego series play, read a lot of books, listen to a lot of podcasts, read articles, take courses, go into the programs, and also going inward with that journey of mindfulness and meditation and healthy living and fitness. So I went on this and I embarked on this long run, and I'm still there. So I started my own business. And what I do with individuals who are usually young and LGBT leaders, I help them to co-create their roadmap for whatever their next move is. And for corporations, I usually work with small and medium-sized tech companies, and I work with team leaders to be able to get alignment from their team by aligning their team on their values, on their shared vision, on their shared objective, and bring meaning to work. My ultimate goal is to eradicate workplace suffering.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And I've done a lot of the workshops in the past, and it's really inspiring. This is really, this is such a great relevant conversation, because we've seen in the last year, we've seen people quitting their jobs and looking for purpose, looking for impact. One of the things that still challenging for a lot of people is, how do they identify that type of company they want to work for, and that type of organization team they want to be part of. And this is one of the things I really love about your workshops, right, on how to make 2022, or how to make your year the best year, and how do you design it to really fit the ideal life that you want, and align the company you're going to work for with your values and their values, and find that alignment, which a lot of people don't take time to do, and feel like, oh, maybe it's a fluffy exercise. But for someone who's done that, and look, I'm running QueerTech today, something that started as a project, was a dream. We talked so much about it, and through just those conversations, really said, this is going to be a goal, and one day I will be able to do this, and that they came in, and it's really great. So I hope a lot of people look at that workshop, and I want to talk a little bit about that process, right? Why should people sit down? And it doesn't have to be at New Year, right? New Year resolution, we know it doesn't work. It can be at any moment. Just whenever you're ready, you feel like you need to change, you want to take that moment. So talk us a little bit about the workshop that you do, and the process that people go through to make that change.
Absolutely. So the idea is, you cannot design something ideal for you. You cannot go anywhere without knowing yourself fully and without appreciating where you are in life. So all of the journeys starts with you and starts with that inner work. It starts with understanding what are my values? What do I
Mhm.
say yes to? What do I say no to? What are my strengths that I can lean on? What is the impact I'm looking to have in this world? So you need to answer these questions first before deciding, oh, what type of job I want or where do I want to live. So long story short, you need to determine what is your life's purpose. And in this workshop, especially in the first step that we call position yourself powerfully, is by creating a very beautiful and strong and compelling life purpose for yourself that you will use as a benchmark to make decisions. Once you know your why, once you know your values, once you know what you love, what you're good at, now it's the time to dream. Now you can say, okay, what I like, how do I want to spend my days, how what type of work I want to do, what type of impact I want. And you said, what is ideal? What is ideal? What is ideal? And you create a compelling vision for yourself. You draw it, maybe vision board, you put it in front of your bed. And then thirdly, now you say, okay, where am I in life? How do I get there? Now you ask the questions of, okay, what do I need to acquire? What course I need to get? What conversations do I need to have? What is my roadmap? What is my strategy to get there? And all of these needs to be supported by a system of life flourishing habits that sustains all of this because change is messy, change is difficult. You need to go through discomfort to be able to thrive, to be able to advance. So, what do I put in as far as habits and rituals and rites and systems and accountability partners and people and connections to sustain me? Is that meditation? Is that exercise? Is that good night's sleep? Is that diet? So
Yeah,
in this workshop, we go through all of these steps.
that's great. And a lot of people, how long does that process take for someone? Is it something that you do in one go? Do people have to like spend few days, few weeks to think about it? How long does someone take to kind of go through that process?
Well, going through the process, at least a year that's going to take for you.
Okay.
Knowing about the process, let's say transferring the knowledge of that we can do in 1-2 workshops so that you have the tools to use it. But again, uh, we are not here for theory. We are
Mhm.
not here to deliver a document. We are here to do behavior change.
Yeah.
We want something that you keep it yourself and you use it year over year and over year. I've been using it for 6 years now. And
Mhm.
behavior change takes time. So that's not something you can rush. Yeah, you can do the work, but you can do year of coaching and be accompanied by a professional in your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, I look at your career and you look at your journey, and here you are a student in tech, basically. You did engineering and computer and software engineering. Then you worked, switch jobs, really kind of start to think about what is it really you want, and coaching start to speak to you, and by going through this career you also became an entrepreneur. You moved to that, becoming an entrepreneur, leaving the 9 to 5 behind you. And I know so many people who want to be entrepreneur, and there is a fear with that entrepreneurship. So how what do you advise some of the people who are entrepreneurs and are looking to um, make that switch from professional job to like take on an entrepreneurship?
Great question. We could talk hours on
Yeah.
that. Uh, to me, is find your why.
Mhm.
Make sure your business is aligned with that why. And it's so yummy. It's so yearning. It's so emotionally connected that you're willing to go through any hardship for that. Once you connect that, anything will be easy for you. For the part that we talk about emotions from the fear, and well, there are certain concerns about money, there are certain concerns about emotions. Uh, to me, is first of all, put your oxygen mask on first. First, neutralize your emotions. First, find out what is the basic minimum of money that you need. Uh, bring down your expenses. Uh, ground yourself. Now that you are like neutralized from those fear, now you feel grounded. Now you know that okay, I need this amount of money, and if I get that amount of money, I can start working on my business. Now you have a plan. Now you have. It's not that you're on drowned in the emotions, drowned in the business of the days, and you're like, oh, I want to make my business, start my business as well.
Absolutely. You said something like create the plan, right, and get rid of the emotion. Something about money also, like I hope that many of us have learned through COVID that we need very little to live, and very little, right? And I know it's like, oh, we there's a lot of amazing things. People want to dine out, and people want to go out for drinks, you want to travel, you can budget for all these things, but the
Yeah,
idea is that maybe take you can focus on what's really important to allow yourself to that transition, because the other side is so much brighter and better also, as you take that entrepreneurship journey.
absolutely.
um,
And noticing that it's temporarily. So you are bringing down your expenses. You're going to that minimum for 1 year, for 2 years, until your business is built. Once it's built, then you can do that big purchase of a house or big purchase of a car, or dining out and stuff. But and that's why I said the connection to your emotions and having that strong why is super important. Because if that why is not that strong, you're gonna get tempted buying that car or dining out or traveling stuff. But if you are really, really connected, really, really focused, I'm gonna make this business because I want to have this positive impact in the society and this community. Then you can go through, maybe I don't go out for 1 month. Maybe I don't, buy that car now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were talking earlier also, going through this journey, it requires some discipline, it's hard work, it's a lot of thinking. And so I'm curious, for you, as you go through this journey, and every year you go through this nonprofit, are there any tech tools that you use that around mindfulness, meditation, habits tracker, where allow you so share with us a little bit. Are there any? There's just so many of these apps and tools that are available and out there, and it's hard sometimes to know which one to choose. So we're curious, what what do you use any tools? What tools?
I am very, very low tech when it comes to habits and mindfulness and all of that. And my suggestion is create the habit first, then go look for what tool can support that. One mistake that we do, we pick the tool first, then we become the servants of the tool. And you say, okay, the tool says I have to do this. Find out what works for you. Then you say, how can I automate that? How can I systemize that? How can I get something that helps me, be diligent with my habit. Um, some of the tools I use Trello. I love it for
Mhm.
my planning, and it's very, very good. Reminders, just normal reminders, and my schedule, my calendar, and it's time blocked like nobody's business,
Yeah.
and I guard those time blocks. If my time is blocked for my meditation or for my exercise or for my one thing, my lovely project that I usually do the first thing in the morning, nobody else can book that time. Nobody else can
Yeah.
hit that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely, I love that. I really use the strategy of time block on calendar, because otherwise you are at the mercy of the rest of the world, instead of you running your calendar, your time, which is the most valuable thing you have. And this is something, it's interesting because you talked about habits, and this is a time where a lot of people I mentor, or we just talk about starting the year, and everyone's like, my New Year resolution, and I have these things, and I'm like, throw the New Year resolution in the garbage. It's not gonna work. Pick one habit, out of that list, all that list, one thing. Just give me one thing, and if you do this thing every day for the next 20 days or the next month, you've already gained so much more than trying to do all these things and in a week or two they're all gone. And so that's really important in building a habit. The second one is using calendar, right? Google Calendar, iCalendar, whatever type of calendar that you use. I think it's really important that people, it's a tool, it's a tech tool that underutilized, and people don't want to book things on their calendar because it feels like, oh my God, it looks so busy and it's like overwhelming. But the reality is, if you create routines, you have so much better chance to execute on your week and feel satisfied by the week, feel less overwhelmed, because at the end of the day, you are not like, did I did everything I wanted to do? Am I missing things? Right? You can prioritize the important things for you, and meditation and things like break walks and things like that can be built in that calendar, and
Yeah.
make sure that you respect that and take that time. and
Yeah.
and I try to do that as much as possible, right? I have my breaks, and it's always good to take it. Now and then I can't do it, but I'm flexible around that, and I allow myself, okay, great, this is a good opportunity, you don't do it. But it's really important to build that routine. Mindfulness,
Absolutely.
and with meditation, you mentioned start the habit. I it was interesting. I started to meditate, and then I realized I really wanted to use a tool, and I use, for example, Headspace. Is a great tool that I've been using. I started the free version, then now I have the paid version, and it's really good. It just gives me guidance, and I like the different topics they have, the conversation, the reminder. So, but it comes after, right? You want to like be doing, um, you want to kind of practice in your habit before you dive into it. I always see the time. It always get away from us. But a couple of things before we kind of close off our conversation. One, I know you are an avid reader. You read a lot of amazing books. Is there a book that you recently read that you recommend for people who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs? They're trying to plan their years. They might need some inspiration. Any books that?
Absolutely. So since we talked about habits, I just finished this book and I'm like incorporating all the ideas for myself and then for my clients. It's called The Atomic Habits
Mm,
by James Clear. That is amazing. So that's great. Atomic Habits. The second one, it's around goal setting. It's around blocking your calendar. It's around organizing your life. The name of the book is called The One Thing.
the
This is
one,
probably one of the top 5 books I've ever read. This is like just amazing.
the one thing.
And if you're about to go and start a business and stuff, there are many good books. The E-Myth is a very good book. The Disciplined Entrepreneurships from MIT is a very good book. But I came across to a new book called Traction. And not only me, but some of my clients have very, very good comments around that book. It's called Traction, and it ties a lot with what we talked here. Find your business's why, find your values, align your team around those that. So these 3 books, absolutely. And on a personal level, this is my all-time best book
Mhm.
ever, is The 4 Agreements. I read it every year. The 4 Agreements. And if you don't want to read the book, just Google and download the poster and just follow the poster. The 4 Agreements changed my life.
Why did it change your life? Can you give us a little bit more? What is it about?
There are 4 things around that if you bring intentionality to that, it changes your life. One, don't take anything personal. It just uh, changed my whole game on social media. I was so worried about what people think about me, about my videos, about the comments, the trolls, all of that. Don't think anything personal. Always do your best. So don't worry about the results and the outcomes. Always do your best. Be integrate to your words. So mean what I say. Avoid gossiping. And the fourth one, that is I think the most important one, never make any assumptions. So if somebody does something, just be free of judgment. You're not in their head. You don't know what's going on. Or maybe somebody is rude to you. Don't make any assumption that you did something or they are mad at you. Maybe they just have a bad day, So
Great word from a great man and a wise mind like you. So thank you for sharing those. One last word of advice to our listeners and people who are watching, and maybe they're about to make that decision to be entrepreneurs. What do you tell them?
What I would say, first of all, I'm smaller to give advice, and as coaches, we are not even allowed to give advice. That's anti-coaching.
Yeah.
What I would say, dream big and be very, very excited about those big dreams. At the same time, start very small and where you are. Don't let like the bigness of your dream overwhelm you. Just start something and start it now and start it where you are actually right now.
Wonderful. Mazdak, if people want to find you, contact you, ask you about the workshop sessions that you do, I see LinkedIn is the best way to get in touch.
Absolutely. Add me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM. I would love to hear from you, and we'll discuss. And if we can even connect and maybe have a conversation. This is my zone of génie. This is where
Yeah.
I get fulfillment. Is to be in connection with amazing and inspiring people like you, members of Queer Tech, members of the queer community. Absolutely.
Mazdak, thank you so much for coming in here, sharing your story with us, inspiring us. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell your story.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Naufal. Thank you, Andy. And thank you all the members who went through this conversation and stayed.
Absolutely. And before we end our live stream, I want to thank our sponsors again, RBC, for presenting this QT Connect live stream series. I also want to thank Sage, Unity Technologies, Hawu Financial Solutions Inc. under the Sun Life banner, Ubisoft, Ocedia, Oro Health for supporting us. So for those who love what we do and want to support Queer Tech, you can always donate to us at queertech.org. Any support goes a long way as a nonprofit, and we really appreciate it. Our next QT Connect is on February 3rd at noon ET. So stay tuned for the events to come online. You can also sign up for our newsletter, register on the website, so you'll get the emails with all the dates. I hope to see you either at the next volunteer session on Friday or the workshops that we have next week. Until then, stay safe, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.